Egypt with my family. On March 3rd, 2024, I died for 9 minutes when our house collapsed during an earthquake. What I experienced during those 9 minutes changed everything I thought I knew about God, about faith, and about the truth that connects all of us. I was raised Muslim. 5 times a day, I heard the call to prayer echo through our village. My father, Ahmed, taught me to recite verses from the Quran before I could even read properly. My mother, Fatima, showed me how to cover my head and dress modestly. We fasted during Ramadan, gave to the poor, and prayed toward Mecca. Islam wasn't just our religion, it was our entire way of life. It was all I had ever known. That morning started like any other. I was helping my mother prepare breakfast, grinding spices in our small kitchen while my little brother Omar played with his wooden blocks on the floor. The familiar scent of cardamom and cinnamon filled the air. My father had already left for work at the market, and the morning light was streaming through our tiny windows. Then everything changed in an instant. The ground beneath our feet began to shake violently. Pots and pans crashed to the floor. The walls of our mud brick house started to crack. My mother screamed for Omar and me to get under the table, but it was too late. The ceiling beam, heavy with clay tiles, came crashing down. The last thing I remember was my mother's voice calling my name as darkness swallowed everything. But then I wasn't under the rubble anymore. I was floating above it, looking down at what remained of our home. I could see my mother digging frantically through the debris with her bare hands, tears streaming down her face. Neighbors were rushing over to help. Someone was pulling Omar from the wreckage, and thank Allah, he was crying, which meant he was alive. But I couldn't see myself anywhere.
Sie wollen schon mit kleinem Kapitaleinsatz die Chance.
Sound came from my mouth. That's when I realized what had happened. My body was buried somewhere under those broken stones and clay, but I, the real me, was floating free. I felt no pain, no fear, just an overwhelming sense of peace that I had never experienced before. It was like being wrapped in the warmest, softest blanket on the coldest night. Then I began to move. Not by my own will, but as if something gentle was drawing me upward. The village below grew smaller and smaller until I could see all of Egypt spread out beneath me like a beautiful carpet. But I wasn't moving through the sky as I knew it. I was traveling through something else, something that felt alive with light and love. The light around me grew brighter and brighter, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It was the most beautiful light I had ever seen, and it seemed light was making music, though not to sing. Yes, though with instruments or voices that I recognized, it was like the sound of pure joy itself. That's when I saw him walking toward me through this ocean of living light. I knew immediately who he was, even though he looked nothing like what I had been taught. His face was kind and gentle, with eyes that seemed to hold all the love in the universe. His skin was olive-colored, like many people in my village, and his hair was dark and shoulder-length. He wore simple white robes that seemed to glow with their own light. When he spoke, his voice was like honey and thunder combined. It filled my entire being with warmth. "Amira," he said, and my name sounded like the most beautiful song when he spoke it. "Do not be afraid, little daughter. You are safe with me." I wanted to speak, but I was overwhelmed by his presence. Everything I had been taught told me this couldn't be happening. Muslims believe in Jesus as a prophet, yes, but not as the Son of God. Yet standing before him, feeling the infinite love radiating from his being, I couldn't deny what I knew in my heart to be true. "Are you Jesus?" I whispered, though I had no physical voice to whisper with. He smiled, and when he smiled, it was like watching the sun rise over the desert. "Yes, beloved child. I am the one you call Isa in your language, Jesus in others. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever." Tears began flowing from my eyes, though I wasn't sure how I could cry without a physical body. "But I'm Muslim," I said. "I pray to Allah 5 times a day. I follow the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. My family, my village, everyone I know believes differently." Jesus stepped closer, and I felt waves of compassion flowing from him. "Amira, do you think your prayers to Allah have gone unheard? Do you think your sincere heart seeking God has been ignored?" He paused, letting his words sink in. "I have been listening to every prayer you have ever prayed. I have seen every act of kindness you have shown to others. I know the love you have for your family and your desire to live righteously. I was confused. But the Quran says that Christians have gone astray. It teaches that Jesus was just a prophet, not God's son. Jesus nodded with understanding. My precious daughter, truth is not threatened by honest questions. Your heart has always sought the true God, and that seeking has led you here to me. I am not asking you to abandon your love for your family or your culture. I am revealing to you who I really am. He gestured, and suddenly we were in a place that looked like a vast garden. There were trees I had never seen before, flowers of colors that don't exist on Earth, and streams of crystal clear water flowing everywhere. The air itself seemed to sparkle with life. This is just a glimpse of my Father's house, Jesus said. Here, there are no divisions between Muslim and Christian, between Arab and Jew, between rich and poor. Here, there are only children who have found their way home to the love they were created for. As we walked through this incredible garden, I saw people from all over the world. I recognized some faces as looking like people from my village. Others looked European, some Asian, some African. They were all worshiping together, and their faces shone with indescribable joy. But Jesus, I said, if what you're showing me is true, what about my family? What about everyone in my village who doesn't know you as you really are? Are they all going to be separated from this beautiful place? His expression grew tender, and I could see both joy and sadness in his eyes. This is why I brought you here, Amira. Not just to show you the truth about who I am, but to give you a message to take back. Take back? I was confused. But I'm dead. The ceiling fell on me. Your time on earth is not finished, he said gently. I am sending you back because your family and your people need to hear what you have seen. Many Muslims have sincere hearts that seek God truly. Many pray with genuine faith and love. But they need to know that the Jesus they honor as a prophet is also the Son of the living God, the way to eternal life. The weight of what he was telling me began to sink in. How can I tell them? They'll think I've lost my mind. They might reject me. Or worse. Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder, and strength flowed through me like electricity. I will give you the words. I will prepare their hearts. Some will listen, and that will be enough to start something beautiful. Then he showed me something that took my breath away. It was like watching a movie, but I was seeing the spiritual realm over my own village. I could see angels walking among the people, whispering into their hearts. I saw how every sincere prayer, whether offered in Arabic or English or any language, rose up like incense before God's throne. But I also saw something that broke my heart. Jesus continued, his voice heavy with sorrow. I saw how the enemy has built walls between my children. I watched as fear and misunderstanding have kept families apart, communities divided, nations at war. The same God that Muslims call Allah, the same God that Christians call Father, weeps over this separation. He showed me scenes that made me want to cry. I saw Muslim children being taught to fear Christians. I saw Christian children being taught that Muslims were their enemies. I watched families torn apart by religious differences, neighbors who stopped speaking to each other over matters of faith. This was never my plan. Jesus said softly, I came to break down the walls between people, not to build them higher. The enemy has taken my message of love and twisted it into something that divides rather than unites. Then Jesus showed me something beautiful. It was like watching flowers bloom in fast motion. I saw Muslims all over the world having dreams and visions of Jesus. I watched as they struggled with what they were experiencing, just like I was struggling now. Some were afraid, others were curious, but all of them were being drawn by the same love I felt surrounding me. This is happening everywhere, Jesus explained. In Iran, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in Indonesia, in Nigeria. My spirit is moving among Muslim people because their hearts are open to truth. Many have been praying for years, asking God to reveal himself more fully. Visions and dreams are my answer to those prayers. I watched as some of these Muslims found ways to follow Jesus while still loving their families and honoring their culture. They didn't abandon their heritage or their language or their customs, but they discovered that Jesus was the missing piece their hearts had always been searching for. Will this cause problems for them? I asked, thinking about my own family. Truth always causes some problems at first, Jesus replied honestly, but truth also brings freedom. And freedom is worth any temporary difficulty. He showed me my own village again, but this time I could see into people's hearts. My neighbor, Mrs. Zara, who had always been so kind to me, was secretly wondering if there was more to God than what she had been taught. My cousin Yasmin had been having strange dreams about a man in white robes calling her name. Even my own father, though he would never admit it, sometimes wondered if his prayers were really reaching Allah the way he hoped. Their hearts are already being prepared, Jesus said. Your experience will be the key that unlocks what I have been placing inside them. I felt both excited and terrified. What if they reject me? What if they think I've been deceived by evil spirits? Jesus smiled that warm smile again. Some will think that, yes, but others will recognize the truth because the same spirit that brought you here will confirm it in their hearts. And Amira, remember this. You are not responsible for convincing anyone. You are only responsible for sharing what you have seen and experienced. He walked me to the edge of this beautiful garden, and I could see what looked like the entrance to a great city in the distance. The buildings seemed to be made of precious stones and metals that sparkled like stars. One day, you will come back here, Jesus promised, but not for many years. You have a life to live first, a family to love, and a message to share. When your earthly journey is truly finished, this place will be waiting for you. I started to panic at the thought of leaving him, but I don't want to go back. It's so peaceful here. There's no confusion, no fear, no pain. What if I forget what you've shown me? What if I can't find the right words? You will never forget, Jesus said, his hand touching my forehead. And when you need the words, I will give them to you. Trust in me, little daughter. The beautiful garden began to fade, and I felt myself being pulled back through that tunnel of light. The peace was leaving me, replaced by intense pain shooting through my chest and head. I gasped for air, my lungs burning as they filled again. Voices were shouting in Arabic around me. My mother was sobbing, holding my hands so tightly it hurt. Amira, Amira, can you hear me? It was Dr. Mahmoud from the village clinic. I tried to speak, but my throat felt like sandpaper. The first word I managed to whisper was Jesus. My mother's eyes went wide with shock and concern. That was 8 months ago. Since then, everything has changed in ways I never expected. When I first tried to tell my family what happened, there was fear, confusion, and yes, some anger. My father worried I had suffered brain damage. Religious leaders in our village were called to pray over me, to determine if I had been visited by evil spirits. But something beautiful began to happen. My cousin Yasmin was the first to listen with an open heart. She told me about her dreams of the man in white robes. Within weeks, 3 other people in our village came to me privately, sharing their own supernatural experiences with Jesus. Mrs. Zara, my kind neighbor, admitted she had been reading Christian books in secret for months, hungry for more truth about God. The message Jesus gave me isn't about abandoning our families or our culture. It's about discovering the fullness of God's love that has been calling to us all along. Every sincere prayer we offered, every act of kindness we showed, every moment we sought God with pure hearts, He was there, listening and loving us. I know some of you watching this will think I'm confused or deceived. That's okay. But if you're Muslim and something in your heart is stirring as you listen to this, maybe it's the same spirit that brought me to Jesus calling to you too. Don't be afraid to ask God to reveal more of Himself to you. He loves your sincere heart, and He will answer that prayer.